Two boys only 5 years old had been living in complete silence for 3 years. No doctor could explain why Mafia boss Vincent Romano's sons simply refused to speak. But when a young nanny entered the mansion, something impossible happened. On her first day of work, the first words came out of the children's mouths. What did this simple woman have that all the fortune in the world couldn't provide? The truth behind this mystery will leave you speechless. Before we start, subscribe to the channel, leave your like and hit the bell because here you experience the most emotional stories on YouTube, and this one will move you. The mansion in Alpine, New Jersey, with its 50,000 square feet, Olympic-sized pool and impeccable gardens, hid a father's worst nightmare. Vincent Romano, at 35 years old, had built an empire in real estate development. His towers spread across Manhattan generated millions monthly, but all that money couldn't buy what he most desired: to hear his sons' voices. Pietro and Lorenzo, identical 5-year-old twins, lived like little ghosts through the marble corridors of the house. Exactly 3 years and 2 months ago, they witnessed something no child should see. Their mother, Isabella, slipped on the wet marble staircase while coming down to get them from their room. The sound of her body falling, the blood spreading across the white floor, her lifeless eyes looking directly at them, all of it was forever engraved in their infant minds. Since that day, not a word, not a whisper, not even an audible cry. Vincent spent fortunes trying to return his sons' voices. Dr. Henry Matthews, the country's most renowned child psychiatrist, visited the house 3 times a week. American therapists came monthly for specialized sessions. Neurologists performed every possible exam. The diagnosis was always the same: severe psychological trauma with extreme selective mutism. The children communicated only through basic gestures. They pointed to food when hungry, shook their heads yes or no, but their voices remained trapped somewhere deep and inaccessible. Vincent came home every night hoping to hear a daddy, a hi, any sound indicating his sons were coming back to him. But the silence was deafening. The house, which once was full of laughter and games, now seemed like a museum. The staff spoke in whispers. Even footsteps were carefully muffled so as not to disturb the melancholic atmosphere that had settled in. Vincent was losing hope when his secretary, Mrs. Martha, suggested hiring a new nanny. The old one had resigned, saying she couldn't stand the sadness of the house. That's how the name Emma Collins reached him. A 28-year-old woman, widowed with impeccable work references from other residences. Vincent didn't even interview her personally. He was too busy trying to save his company from a financial crisis while dealing with the constant guilt of not being able to help his own sons. That Tuesday morning, Vincent left early for an important meeting. Pietro and Lorenzo had breakfast in silence, as always, seated at the mahogany kitchen table. Their nannies, experienced and caring women, tried to talk to them but received only empty stares in response. The children would spend another day playing silently in their room, assembling puzzles or drawing meaningless figures. It was a day like any other in the Romano mansion, a day where silence reigned absolute and hope seemed increasingly distant. But at 9 a.m., when Emma Collins crossed the golden gate of the property, carrying only a small bag with nanny supplies and a heart full of her own scars, she had no idea she was about to break 3 years of silence with just her presence. The twins also didn't know that this would be the morning their voices would finally find their way back home. Emma Collins stopped in front of the imposing gate, adjusted her simple uniform, and took a deep breath. At 28, she carried in her eyes the deep mark of someone who knew the intimate pain of loss. 2 years ago, a car accident stole not only her beloved husband, but also the baby growing in her womb, a girl she had already chosen to call Hope. Since then, Emma survived working as a nanny in wealthy families' homes. It was honest work that kept her busy enough not to sink completely into depression, but lonely enough for her to process her pain in silence. The hospital and funeral debt still weighed on her shoulders, but she never complained. Working amid others' luxury didn't bother her. In fact, she preferred it to the suffocating solitude of her small apartment in Newark. Mrs. Martha, Vincent's secretary, received her at the side entrance of the mansion, a middle-aged woman, efficient and somewhat serious, who quickly explained the house rules. "Emma, this is a special residence. Mr. Romano has twin sons, Pietro and Lorenzo. They went through trauma a few years ago and don't speak at all. It's important that you keep the house quiet and avoid making unnecessary noises. The children are very sensitive." Emma nodded, understanding immediately. She herself knew the weight of silence. She had spent months unable to pronounce her dead husband's name. "Are they healthy? Do they play normally?" Emma asked with genuine concern. "Physically, they're perfect, but emotionally..." Mrs. Martha sighed. "They're like little ghosts. Very polite, very quiet, but it's as if part of them died along with their mother." Emma felt her heart tighten. She knew that feeling well. Mrs. Martha led her through the mansion's rooms, explaining the cleaning routine. Living room with double-height ceiling, library with thousands of books, office overlooking the garden, gourmet kitchen that looked more like a restaurant. Everything was impeccable, luxurious, but strangely cold. It seemed more like a museum than a house where children lived. "And where are the boys now?" Emma asked while organizing her nanny supplies. "In their room on the second floor. They spend most of their time there. They rarely come down except for meals. You can start in the living room. They probably won't even notice your presence." But Mrs. Martha was wrong. While Emma began vacuuming the Persian rug in the living room, small bare feet descended the marble staircase. Pietro and Lorenzo appeared at the entrance to the room, wearing matching navy blue pajamas. They were absolutely identical, curly brown hair, green eyes like their father's, but with an expression of sadness that broke the heart. Emma turned off the vacuum when she saw them. "Hi, sweethearts," she said softly, crouching down to their height. "I'm Emma. I came to help take care of your house." The boys watched her in silence, but there was something different in their eyes, a curiosity they hadn't shown in a long time. Emma smiled and returned to work, humming a lullaby she used to sing to the baby in her womb. It was a sweet melody, almost whispered, that spoke about angels who watch over children while they sleep. Pietro took a step forward, then another. Lorenzo followed him. They sat on the sofa, watching Emma's every move. She cleaned the furniture carefully, talking to herself as if they were old friends. "Wow, what a beautiful house you have. I bet it's really fun to play here. Do you like puzzles? I loved them when I was little." While she spoke, something extraordinary began to happen. Pietro, who for 3 years had shown no interest in anything, got up from the sofa and walked to where Emma was cleaning a coffee table. He picked up a cloth that had fallen and extended it to her. Emma received the cloth with a radiant smile. "Thank you, Pietro. You're very kind." The boy's eyes widened. How did she know his name? Mrs. Martha had told her, but for Pietro, it was as if she had known him forever. Lorenzo also got up and started following Emma around the room. When she went to the bookshelf to clean the books, he ran there and pointed to a fairy tale book. "Ah, you like stories?" Emma asked, taking the book. It was my favorite too. She almost mentioned her husband but restrained herself. That moment was about them. Emma sat on the floor and opened the book. The twins immediately approached, sitting one on each side of her. She began telling the story of Beauty and the Beast, using different voices for each character, making dramatic gestures that brought out the first genuine smiles from the boys in 3 years. When she reached the part where the Beast transforms into a prince because someone managed to truly love him, Pietro rested his head on Emma's arm. Lorenzo did the same on the other side. And then the miracle happened. Lorenzo, looking at Emma with eyes full of tears he hadn't shed in years, whispered a word that echoed through the silent room like thunder. "Mommy!" Emma felt her heart stop. Pietro, seeing his brother's reaction, repeated the word louder. "Mommy, you came back, Mommy!" In the second-floor office, Vincent Romano was on a video conference when he heard something that made him drop the phone. Voices. Children's voices. His son's voices. He ran downstairs like a madman, following the sound he hadn't heard in 3 years. When he reached the living room, he found the most beautiful and devastating scene of his life. His sons were speaking. They were crying. They were alive again. And all because of a simple woman sitting on the floor, hugging them as if they were the children she never had the chance to raise. Vincent remained standing at the entrance to the room, fearing any movement might break the spell of that impossible moment. His legs trembled, not from fear but from an emotion so intense it threatened to completely overwhelm him. For 3 years he had dreamed of this moment. He imagined what it would be like to hear his sons' voices again. But in his imagination they ran to him shouting, "Daddy!" Instead they were calling a stranger Mommy. And strangely, this didn't hurt him. It was as if his paternal instincts recognized that this woman had achieved something that all his fortune hadn't provided. Emma looked up and saw him standing there with tears streaming down his face. She immediately tried to get up, embarrassed, but Pietro and Lorenzo clung to her tightly. "Please," Vincent said with a choked voice. "Don't stop, they're talking." "Daddy!" Pietro shouted, running to Vincent. "Emma came back, Mommy came back to take care of us." Vincent knelt down and hugged his son, feeling the small body tremble with emotion. Lorenzo also ran to him but didn't let go of Emma's hand. "Daddy, did you bring her back?" Lorenzo asked with eyes shining with hope. She was singing the song that Mommy used to sing. Vincent looked at Emma, who was clearly confused and emotional. She had no idea of the impact she had caused on that family. "Emma," he said, trying to control his voice, "I don't know how to thank you. In 3 years, dozens of professionals tried. And you, on the first day, I don't understand." Emma whispered. "They called me Mommy. I just did what I felt I should do." Pietro pulled Emma by the hand, leading her to Vincent. "Daddy, is she going to live here with us? Is she going to be our new mommy?" The innocent question created an uncomfortable silence. Vincent didn't know how to explain to 5-year-old children the complex feelings of adults. Emma turned red, not knowing what to say. "Boys," Vincent began carefully. "Emma works here. She came to help take care of the house. But she sings like Mommy," Lorenzo insisted. "And she smells the same." Emma frowned. "What do you mean, smells the same?" "Mommy smelled like flowers and caring," Pietro explained with children's simple logic. "You do too." Vincent realized something deeper was happening here. In the following days, he began to observe the interactions between Emma and the boys with growing fascination. It was as if she had an intuitive connection with them that went beyond rational explanation. Every morning, even before she arrived, Pietro and Lorenzo positioned themselves at the living room window, waiting to see her cross the garden. When she appeared, they ran downstairs to receive her at the door. During all the time she worked, they followed her, talking incessantly about everything and nothing. "Emma, do you know how to make sandcastles? Emma, do you like strawberry ice cream? Emma, are you leaving when it gets dark?" This last question always came loaded with anxiety. Emma learned to reassure them, explaining that she would return the next day. She would always return. Vincent started working from home more frequently, officially to monitor his son's progress, but secretly because he wanted to observe Emma. There was something about her that intrigued him deeply. She was beautiful, yes, but not in an obvious way. It was the serene beauty of someone who knew pain and had learned to live with it without becoming bitter. She treated his sons with a maternal naturalness that moved him. There was no hesitation in her gestures, no forced attempt to win them over. It was as if she had always been part of that family. One afternoon, Vincent found her in the garden with the boys. They had set up a kind of picnic on the grass using an old sheet and snacks she had prepared in the kitchen. Pietro and Lorenzo were laughing at something she had told them, a sound Vincent thought he would never hear again. "Can I join you?" he asked. "Of course, Daddy," Lorenzo replied. "Emma was telling us about when she was little and lived in a house with a backyard full of chickens." Vincent sat on the sheet, observing how Emma became a bit tense with his presence. She still maintained a respectful distance, always remembering she was just an employee. "Emma," he said softly, "I want you to know you've transformed this house. My sons are alive again because of you." She lowered her eyes, embarrassed. "They're special children. They just needed someone who understood their silence. And you understand?" Emma looked at Pietro and Lorenzo, who were playing with small flowers they had picked. "I was also silent for a long time," she admitted. "When we lose someone we love, sometimes words just disappear. They just needed time and someone who wasn't in a hurry to hear them." Vincent felt something move in his chest. It was more than gratitude. It was recognition. Emma had healed his sons by healing herself. That night after Emma left, the twins did something they hadn't done in 3 years. They asked Vincent to tell them a bedtime story. "Daddy," Pietro said, nestled in his bed, "is Emma always going to be our friend?" "I hope so, son." "Lorenzo dreamed that she was our real mommy," Pietro confided. "I had that dream too." Vincent felt his heart tighten. "And would you like her to be?" Both boys nodded vigorously. Then she would be the mommy who takes care of us, and our first mommy would be the angel who protects her too, Lorenzo explained with children's simple wisdom. Vincent kissed his sons' foreheads, knowing that conversation would change everything, because he himself was beginning to nurture the same impossible dream they had. Emma Collins had arrived as an employee, but was becoming the heart of that family, and Vincent was falling in love not only with her, but with the extraordinary woman who had returned life to his sons. And without knowing it, she was returning life to him too. 3 months had passed since Emma's arrival, and the transformation in the Romano family was impossible to ignore. Pietro and Lorenzo not only spoke again, they became the most communicative children Vincent had ever known. They told elaborate stories about their drawings, asked tireless questions about everything they saw, laughed loudly during games. The house, which for years echoed only silence, now vibrated with childlike energy. Vincent started inventing excuses to spend more time at home. Meetings that could be by phone became video conferences in the home office. Business trips were canceled or postponed. He wanted to be present to witness every moment of this family resurrection. And it wasn't just the children that drew him home. It was Emma. Watching her had become his favorite secret pastime. The delicate way she folded the boys' clothes while humming softly. How her eyes sparkled when Pietro and Lorenzo ran to hug her every day. The way she smiled. A genuine smile that lit up her entire face when the children told their imaginary adventures. Vincent realized he was falling in love the day he found her crying in the garden. It was a Saturday afternoon. The boys were napping after an abundant lunch, and Emma was taking the opportunity to water the plants. Vincent left his office to get her. He wanted to invite her to dinner with them, to break the formality that still existed between employer and employee. But when he saw her sitting on the stone bench near the rose bushes with tears silently streaming down her face, he felt his chest tighten in a way he hadn't experienced in years. "Emma, what happened?" She startled, quickly wiping away the tears. "I'm sorry, Mr. Romano, I shouldn't be here, Please." He sat down beside her. "Call me Vincent, and you can be wherever you want. This house is yours too." Emma looked at him with surprise. "I'm just an employee." "No," Vincent interrupted gently. "You're much more than that. You're the person who brought my sons back to life. You're too important to be just an employee." They were silent for a moment. Emma played with her hands, clearly struggling with some internal feeling. "Today is my husband's birthday," she finally confessed. "He would be 30 today. And our baby, our girl, would be 2 next week." Vincent felt as if someone had pierced his heart. "Emma, I didn't know. I'm sorry. For 2 years this day was unbearable. I stayed in bed, unable to function. But today," she looked up at him, "today I was able to get up because I knew Pietro and Lorenzo were waiting for me. They gave me a reason to keep living. And they brought you to us exactly when we needed it," Vincent responded. "Don't you think this is more than coincidence?" Emma stared at him with an intensity that made him forget to breathe. "Vincent, I need to tell you something. I love your sons as if they were mine. I know I don't have the right. I know I'm just—" "Stop," he said, gently taking her hands. "You have every right. They love you too. And Vincent paused, realizing he was about to confess something that would change everything. "And you?" Emma whispered. "I love you too," he said, surprising himself with brutal sincerity. "As a woman, as a mother to my sons, as the person who saved us from a lifetime of silence." Emma started crying again, but now they were tears of relief. "I thought I was crazy for feeling this. I thought I was betraying my husband's memory by falling in love again." Vincent pulled her closer. "Loving again doesn't betray those we've lost. It honors the capacity they gave us to love." They were about to kiss when an icy voice cut through the moment like a blade. "Vincent, what is the meaning of this?" Carmen Romano, Vincent's mother, stood at the garden entrance with an expression of horror and indignation. At 60, she was an imposing woman, accustomed to controlling all aspects of family life with an iron hand. Vincent and Emma quickly pulled apart, but it was too late. "Mother, I can explain." "Explain?" Carmen approached with furious steps. "Explain how my son is behaving like a teenager with an employee?" "Mrs. Romano," Emma began, standing up respectfully. I understand your concern, but you understand nothing. Carmen cut her off coldly. You're an opportunist who infiltrated this family, taking advantage of the children's vulnerability. Mother, Vincent stood up furiously. You can't talk to Emma like that. I can, and I will. You've lost your mind, Vincent. This woman appeared out of nowhere. Won over your sons, and now she's manipulating you too. She wants your money, obviously. Emma paled, as if she'd been slapped. I never ever thought about Vincent's money. Of course not. Carmen laughed bitterly. What a coincidence that an indebted widow fell in love with precisely a mafia boss widower. How romantic. Enough, Vincent shouted. Emma, go inside. I need to talk to my mother. But the damage was done. Emma's face was burning with humiliation, tears of pain flowing uncontrollably. Maybe your mother is right, she whispered. Maybe I deluded myself thinking I deserved a family again. She ran into the house, grabbed her things and left, ignoring the screams of Pietro and Lorenzo calling her from the window. Vincent faced his mother with a fury she had never seen before. You have no idea what you just did, he said in a dangerously low voice. I saved you from making the biggest mistake of your life. No, Vincent replied. You just caused the biggest mistake of my life. Emma is the woman I love and the mother my sons chose, and you drove her from our house with your cruel accusations. But it was too late. Emma had already disappeared down the street, carrying her broken heart and her dignity in tatters. And inside the house, Pietro and Lorenzo began screaming for her, not understanding why the woman they considered their mother had left so suddenly. Silence returned to the Romano mansion, but this time it was an even more devastating silence because now they knew exactly what they had lost. The first night without Emma was a nightmare. Pietro and Lorenzo refused to eat, cried until they fell asleep exhausted, and woke up several times asking when she would return. Vincent spent the entire night trying to explain to 5-year-old children concepts he himself couldn't comprehend. How pride and prejudice could destroy an entire family's happiness. Daddy, doesn't Emma like us anymore? Pietro asked for the 10th time, eyes red from crying. She does, my son, very much. Then why did she leave? Vincent didn't know how to answer, how to explain that his own mother had mortally wounded the woman they loved. On the second day, the boys went on strike. They refused to eat anything not prepared by Emma. They didn't want anyone else to bathe them or tell them stories. They sat at the living room window waiting to see her appear in the garden. Vincent tried calling her dozens of times, but the phone went straight to voicemail. He went to the address on her employment file, but neighbors said she had left early with a small suitcase and hadn't returned. My God, Vincent murmured to himself. She moved, ran away from us. On the third day, the situation became critical. Pietro and Lorenzo completely stopped eating, only drank water, and spent the entire day crying for Mommy Emma. Dr. Henry Matthews came to examine them and gave a devastating verdict. Vincent, they're entering severe childhood depression. If we don't resolve this quickly, there could be serious physical consequences. Where's the woman they're calling for? She left. Then you need to bring her back immediately. It was at that moment Vincent discovered the extent of his mother's betrayal. While rummaging through office papers looking for any clue about Emma's whereabouts, he found a private investigation report on his desk. A complete dossier on Emma Collins, employment records, even details about her husband's death. Carmen had hired detectives to investigate Emma since her first month of work. Vincent read the report with growing horror. Emma's debts were real, but all related to her husband's medical treatments before death and funeral costs. She had sold the house, the furniture, even her wedding ring to pay off the debts. Previous employers had glowing references, bosses describing her as honest, dedicated, a family person. At the end of the report was a handwritten note from the investigator. Subject presents integrity of character. Financial motivation unlikely given history of ethical behavior. Recommendation: investigation unnecessary. Vincent felt nauseated. His mother had commissioned a complete dossier on an innocent woman to destroy her with baseless accusations. He confronted Carmen that same afternoon. How could you do this? How could you investigate Emma behind our backs? Carmen was unmoved. I protected my family. That woman was a risk. Risk of what? Of giving us love. of healing my sons, of making me happy again. Risk of being a gold digger. Don't you see she calculated everything? Won over the children first to get to you? Vincent threw the report on the table forcefully. Did you read this? Did you read what your own detectives concluded? Emma is a woman of integrity who lost everything in life and was rebuilding her dignity through honest work. Vincent, you're blind. No, he shouted. You're the one who's blind. Blind with your prejudice, your snobbery. Your grandsons are dying of sadness, literally refusing to eat. And you still think you did the right thing? As if summoned by his words, Pietro and Lorenzo's screams echoed from upstairs. They had woken from another nightmare, calling for Emma. Vincent ran up to console them and found a scene that split him in half. The twins were hugging each other in bed, crying desperately. "Daddy," Pietro sobbed. "Did Emma die like Mommy?" "No, son. She didn't die." "Then why won't she come back?" Lorenzo asked. "Did we do something wrong?" Vincent sat on the bed and hugged both boys. "You did nothing wrong. Nothing. Grandma Carmen said bad things to Emma and she got very sad." "Is Grandma mean?" Pietro asked with brutal honesty. Vincent chose his words carefully. "Grandma loves you. But sometimes adults do wrong things when they're afraid." "Afraid of what?" "Afraid of losing the people they love." Lorenzo thought for a moment. "But Emma wasn't going to take you from us, Daddy. She was going to stay with all of us." The children's simple wisdom hit Vincent like lightning. They had understood something that his mother, with all her education and life experience, couldn't see. True love multiplies. It doesn't divide. On the fourth day without Emma, Vincent received a call that changed everything. "Mr. Romano, this is St. Catherine's Hospital. A patient of ours, Emma Collins, has you listed as an emergency contact. She was admitted last night in critical condition." Vincent felt the world collapse. What happened to her? She fainted on the street and was brought in by paramedics. She was severely dehydrated and showing signs of acute depression. When we asked about family to contact, she only whispered your name. Vincent didn't finish listening. He raced to the hospital, leaving the boys with the nanny and Carmen. During the entire journey, his mind was bombarded by terrible thoughts. What if she died? What if he lost the only woman he had loved after Isabella? How would he explain this to Pietro and Lorenzo? He found Emma admitted to the psychiatric ward, medicated and still unconscious. Her face was pale, too thin, with deep circles under her eyes that betrayed nights without sleep. Dr. Marcus Viana, the psychiatrist in charge, explained the situation. "Mr. Romano, Emma arrived here in a state of emotional collapse. According to her, she recently lost not only a job but also people she considered family. Added to the previous trauma of losing her husband and child, it was too much for her psychological structure to bear. Will she be okay physically? Yes. Emotionally? It depends. She needs a strong reason to fight, something or someone that makes her want to live again." Vincent held Emma's cold hand. "She has it. She has my sons and she has me. We love her. Then why is she here?" Vincent told the entire story to the doctor, feeling shame burn his face with each word. Dr. Viana listened in silence, shaking his head with disapproval. "Mr. Romano, I've seen cases like this before. When a person who has already lost everything is rejected again by the people they love, it can be devastating. Emma told me she feels cursed, that everything she touches ends up being destroyed." Vincent buried his face in his hands. "I allowed this to happen. I didn't defend her enough. You can still correct this, but you need to act fast. Emma is considering leaving the city, starting over somewhere where no one knows her." At that moment, Emma began to wake up. Her eyes opened slowly, focusing with difficulty. When she saw Vincent beside the bed, her first reaction was to try to pull away. "No," she whispered. "You shouldn't be here. Emma, please listen to me. Your mother was right. I'm just a nanny who deluded herself thinking she could be part of a family like yours." Vincent took her face between his hands. "You were right from the beginning. You are part of our family. The most important part. Pietro and Lorenzo," she started crying. "They must be so confused, hurt. They're dying without you, Emma. They literally stopped eating, playing, living. They call you Mommy because that's what you are to them." Emma closed her eyes, tears streaming down her pale cheeks. "I can't go back. Not after what your mother said. I can't live being seen as an opportunist, as someone who took advantage of your pain. Vincent took out the investigation report. Then see this. My mother hired detectives to investigate you. You know what they found? That you are exactly who I thought you were. A woman of integrity, honesty, who went through unimaginable tragedies and still maintained a heart capable of loving. Emma read the report with an expression of disbelief. She investigated me and still continued with the accusations? Because it wasn't about you, Emma. It was about her fear of losing control over my life. Emma tried to sit up in bed, still weak. Vincent, I can't be the cause of problems between you and your family. You're not the cause. You're the solution. You brought life back to our house. Pietro and Lorenzo need you. I need you. Vincent knelt beside the hospital bed. Emma Collins, will you marry me? Not because you need me. Not because I have money, but because we love each other and because together we can give our sons the family they deserve. Emma looked at him through tears, seeing not Mafia boss Vincent Romano, but the man who had lost his wife, who was raising two traumatized boys alone, who was willing to face his own family for love. And Pietro and Lorenzo? She asked. They're at home waiting for Mommy to come back. It was that word, Mommy, that broke all of Emma's resistance, because she was born to be a mother, and destiny had placed in her path two children who desperately needed her love. Yes, she whispered, I accept. When Vincent kissed her there in that hospital room, both knew they were sealing not just a commitment between them, but a promise to Pietro and Lorenzo. They would never again be orphans of love. Vincent spent the entire night at the hospital beside Emma, holding her hand while she slept with the help of sedatives. For the first time in days, he himself could rest, knowing he had found her, and that she had accepted his marriage proposal. But one constant worry hammered in his mind. How were Pietro and Lorenzo? His answer came at 6 a.m. through a desperate call from the nanny. Mr. Romano, please come home urgently. The children cried all night. They haven't eaten in 4 days and now they have a fever. Mrs. Romano tried to give them porridge, but Pietro threw it all up and Lorenzo is delirious, calling for Emma. Vincent felt panic take over his chest. Call Dr. Henry immediately. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He kissed Emma gently. My love, I need to go get our sons. Emma woke immediately. Our sons, are they okay? They will be when they see you. Vincent raced home as if his life depended on it, and it actually did. He found the mansion in complete chaos. Pietro was lying on the living room sofa, pale and apathetic, while Lorenzo cried convulsively in the nanny's lap. Dr. Henry had just arrived and was examining the children with a grave expression. Vincent, the doctor said somberly. They're in critical condition from malnutrition and dehydration. They need to be hospitalized immediately. No, Vincent said firmly. They need Emma. I'm getting her now. Vincent, be sensible. These children could die. They'll die if we don't bring Emma back. Doctor, you yourself said their trauma was emotional. The cure also needs to be emotional. Pietro lifted his weak head when he heard the conversation. Daddy, did you find Emma? Vincent knelt beside his son. I did, my love. She's coming home. She's going to stay forever. Forever? Lorenzo stopped crying instantly. Is Mommy Emma really coming back? Yes, and she's never leaving again. Vincent looked at Carmen, who was watching the scene with a complex expression. A mixture of guilt, fear, and stubbornness. Mother, I'm going to get Emma now. When I come back with her, you can stay and be part of this family the way it will be, or you can leave. But you will never disrespect her in my presence again. Carmen started to protest, but Pietro interrupted with a weak but determined voice. Grandma, you hurt our mommy. That was mean. Pietro, sweetheart, you have to understand. No. Lorenzo joined his brother, still crying. You made Mommy Emma cry. Now we're crying too. Vincent left the house, leaving Carmen facing the most honest judgment she had ever received. That of two children who had learned the difference between true love and destructive pride. When Vincent returned to the hospital, Emma was awake and wearing the clothes he had brought. A simple but pretty dress that enhanced her natural beauty. Ready to go home? He asked. Vincent, what if they don't forgive me for leaving? Emma, you don't understand yet, do you? You didn't leave. You were driven out. They know the difference. During the drive home, Vincent told her about the children's condition. Emma cried, blaming herself for causing so much suffering. "I should have been stronger. Should have faced your mother. You were forced into an impossible situation. Anyone would have reacted as you did." When the car stopped in front of the mansion, Emma hesitated. "Vincent, I'm afraid." "Of what?" "That this is a dream. That I'll wake up alone in my empty apartment." Vincent held her face between his hands. "Emma, look at me. You are the woman I love. You are the mother my sons chose. You are real. Our love is real. And our family will be real." They entered through the front door, no longer through the back entrance as when Emma was just an employee. The symbolic difference was not lost on her. In the living room, Pietro and Lorenzo were lying on the sofa, too weak to get up quickly, but their eyes lit up like two stars when they saw Emma. "Mommy, Emma!" Pietro shouted with all the strength he could muster. Emma ran to them, falling to her knees beside the sofa and hugging both boys simultaneously. All three cried together, tears of relief, of happiness, of reunion. "My babies," Emma whispered, kissing their thin faces. "Mommy came back. Mommy is never leaving again." "You promise?" Lorenzo asked, clinging to her as if fearing she would disappear again. "I promise. Look." Emma showed the simple engagement ring Vincent had bought at the hospital. "Daddy proposed to me. I'm going to be officially your mommy." Pietro and Lorenzo looked at each other with an expression of pure joy. "Does that mean you'll sleep here every night?" Pietro asked. "Every night. And you'll make breakfast for us every day?" Lorenzo added. "Every day. And if Grandma Carmen is mean to you again?" Emma looked over her shoulder and saw Carmen standing at the entrance to the room, watching the scene with tears in her eyes. "Grandma Carmen loves you," Emma said diplomatically. Sometimes adults do wrong things when they're afraid of losing the people they love. Carmen approached slowly. Her haughty posture had completely disappeared, replaced by something that seemed like genuine regret. "Emma," she said with a choked voice, I need to apologize. My grandson is right. I was mean to you." "Mrs. Romano, please." "Call me Grandma Carmen," she interrupted. "And forgive me. I watched my grandsons almost die of sadness these 4 days and realized you're not a threat to our family. You are our family." Emma extended her hand to her. "Grandma Carmen, I never wanted to replace their mother's memory. I just want to love them. I know that now. And I know Isabella would approve of our choice." Vincent observed the scene with his heart overflowing. Dr. Henry, who had remained discreetly in the corner of the room, approached to examine the children again. "It's impressive," he murmured to Vincent. "Their temperature is returning to normal. Their breathing is stabilizing. In 20 years of medicine, I've never seen such an immediate recovery." "Doctor," Pietro called. "Now that Mommy Emma is back, can I eat something? I'm very hungry." Dr. Henry smiled. "I think so, champ." Emma went to the kitchen to prepare something light for the boys, followed by the entire family. While she warmed soup and toasted bread, she hummed the same lullaby she had sung on her first day of work. Pietro and Lorenzo sat at the kitchen table, watching her every movement, as if wanting to record that moment forever. "Mommy Emma," Lorenzo said, "when you left, I dreamed you had become an angel like our first mommy. But you didn't become an angel," Pietro completed. "You came back to take care of us." Emma turned to them with eyes full of tears. "Boys, you saved my life as much as I saved yours. I was very sad and lonely, and you gave me a reason to be happy again. Just like you did for us," Pietro observed with childlike wisdom. Vincent hugged Emma from behind while she served the soup. "Our sons are very smart." "Our sons," Emma repeated, savoring the words. "I like the sound of that." Carmen watched everything from a corner of the kitchen, realizing something her stubbornness had almost destroyed. That simple woman had created more love, joy, and unity in that family in a few months than years of wealth and social status had achieved. That night, for the first time in 4 days, Pietro and Lorenzo ate a complete meal, bathed without resistance, and slept peacefully in their beds. And for the first time in 3 years, the Romano family was complete again. 2 years had completely transformed the Romano mansion. The house that was once a silent mausoleum now pulsed with life, laughter, and the contagious energy of a truly happy family. Pietro and Lorenzo, now 7 years old, were recognized at school as the most communicative and loving children in the class. Teachers commented on how they spoke affectionately about Mommy Emma and how proud they were of the family they had. Emma flourished in ways she herself didn't imagine possible. The face that arrived thin and marked by sadness now radiated serene happiness. She had become not only wife and mother, but also Vincent's business partner, bringing a human and sensitive perspective that revolutionized the culture of Romano Development Corporation. Employees commented on how her presence had humanized the work environment. But the most visible miracle of all was growing in her womb. "Mommy Emma," Pietro said on a sunny Saturday morning, carefully placing his hand on her belly. "Our little sister is kicking a lot today. She wants to be born soon to play with you," Emma replied, stroking the boy's hair. "Are we going to teach her everything?" Lorenzo declared solemnly. "Like how to ride a bike, how to swim, how to make sandcastles. And we're going to protect her from any mean people," Pietro added with the seriousness of one who had learned early about life's difficulties. Vincent observed the scene from the patio, feeling his chest explode with gratitude. In his arms, he held an envelope that had arrived that morning, the official invitation to the church wedding ceremony that would take place that afternoon. After 2 years of civil union, Emma had insisted on a religious celebration, wanting to officially bless the family they had built together. "Daddy?" Pietro ran to him. "Are you nervous about marrying Mommy again?" Vincent laughed. "A little. It's important to marry right the woman of our life." "But you're already married," Lorenzo observed, confused. "On paper, yes. But today we're going to promise before God that we'll love each other forever. Like you promised our first mommy?" The question could be painful, but Vincent had learned to deal with Isabella's memory in a healthy way, especially with Emma's help. "Similar, yes, but each love is unique, Lorenzo. I loved your first mommy in a special way, and now I love Mommy Emma in another special way." "And there's room in your heart for both loves?" Pietro asked. "The heart grows when it needs to love more people, just like your hearts grew to love Mommy Emma without diminishing the love for your first mommy." The children nodded, perfectly understanding the emotional logic that many adults struggle to accept. Carmen appeared on the patio carrying Emma's dress on a protective hanger. "The dress is perfect," she announced with satisfaction. "Emma is going to look beautiful." The relationship between Carmen and Emma had become one of the most pleasant surprises of those 2 years. After the initial apology, Carmen had genuinely tried to get to know Emma as a person, not as a threat. She discovered a cultured, intelligent woman surprisingly wise about business. After all, Emma had helped her late husband manage a small business before the tragedy. More than that, Carmen realized Emma treated Pietro and Lorenzo not as stepsons but as children of the heart. She never tried to erase Isabella's memory. On the contrary, she encouraged the boys to remember their first mother fondly, while building new memories with her. "Grandma Carmen," Lorenzo ran to her. "Are you going to cry at the wedding like grandmas in movies?" "Probably," she admitted, smiling. "But there'll be tears of happiness." The morning passed quickly with preparations. Emma was radiant in her simple but elegant dress, chosen to comfortably accommodate her 7-month pregnancy. Pietro and Lorenzo wore matching little suits, proud of the role of men of honor that Vincent had created especially for them. The church was decorated with white and yellow flowers, Emma's favorites. The guests were few but meaningful. Close family members, some company employees who had become friends, neighbors who had followed the Romano family's transformation. Dr. Henry Matthews was present, still impressed by the twins' complete recovery. Mrs. Martha, the secretary, cried discreetly in the front pew. Even some colleagues from Emma's time working as a nanny had been invited, demonstrating that Vincent valued her entire story, not just the successful present. When it was time for personal declarations, Vincent held Emma's hands before the altar and spoke with an emotional voice. "Emma, you arrived in our lives disguised as an employee, but you were an angel sent to heal us. You returned my sons' voices, returned joy to my house, and returned the ability to love to my heart. I promise to honor not only the extraordinary woman you are today, but also the courageous woman who faced all losses and still kept her heart open to love again." Emma wiped away tears before responding. "Vincent, you gave me the family I thought I would never have again. Pietro and Lorenzo taught me that being a mother doesn't depend on having given birth to a child. but on loving them unconditionally. I promise to be the wife you deserve and the mother our children need every day of my life. But the most emotional moment of the ceremony came when the priest invited Pietro and Lorenzo to approach the altar. "Boys," the priest said softly, "would you like to say something to your parents?" Pietro and Lorenzo looked at each other. Then Pietro spoke with the impressive maturity of a child who had grown up too fast. "Mommy Emma, when you came to our house, our hearts were broken like glass. We couldn't talk because sadness had stolen our words. But you came singing and taught us it was safe to speak again because you would listen with care." Lorenzo continued, "You never tried to make us forget our first mommy. You said she became a star that protects our family, and now we have a mommy in heaven and a mommy here on earth. That makes us very lucky." Pietro concluded, "Daddy, thank you for not giving up on us when we were sad, and thank you for choosing Mommy Emma to be our real mother." There wasn't a dry eye in the church. Even Carmen cried openly, remembering how she had almost destroyed that family out of pride. When the priest finally proclaimed Vincent and Emma husband and wife, Pietro and Lorenzo shouted, "Hooray!" so loud they made the entire congregation laugh through their tears. At the party held in the mansion's garden, Little Hope, the name chosen by the twins themselves, decided to make her appearance. Emma started feeling the first contractions during the waltz with Vincent. "I think our daughter wants to participate in the wedding party," she whispered in her husband's ear. 3 hours later, at the hospital, Hope Romano Collins was born into the arms of a complete and happy family. Pietro and Lorenzo were the first to see her, immediately declaring she was the most beautiful little sister in the entire world. Vincent held his newborn daughter, looked at Emma, exhausted but radiant, saw Pietro and Lorenzo competing over who would teach what first to the baby, and realized he had found something all his wealth couldn't buy: the imperfect perfection of a true family. "She's going to grow up knowing she was wanted by 4 hearts," Emma murmured, watching the older sons making gentle caresses on their sister's little face. 5, Vincent corrected, thinking of Isabella. "I'm sure the first mommy is also happy today." Pietro looked up as if he could see through the hospital ceiling. "First mommy," he said to the sky. "Thank you for sending Mommy Emma to take care of us. You chose very well." At that moment, a gentle breeze entered through the room's window, moving the curtains in a way that seemed almost like a nod of approval. The Romano family had learned life's most important lesson: that true love doesn't replace losses, but creates new possibilities. That sometimes the right people arrive disguised as simple employees, and that the most beautiful miracles happen when broken hearts allow themselves to love again. Pietro, Lorenzo, and Hope would grow up knowing that family isn't defined only by blood, but by love, dedication, and the willingness to heal together the wounds that life inevitably causes. And Emma finally understood she hadn't lost a daughter in the past. Destiny had simply saved her motherhood for the right moment, when 3 hearts orphaned of maternal love were waiting for her. At the Romano mansion in Alpine, silence never returned. And when it did, it would only be the sacred silence of a family sleeping in peace, knowing they would be awakened by laughter, conversations, and the absolute certainty that love had won all the battles that mattered. Do you believe there's an inexplicable connection between souls that need to heal each other? That true love can be more powerful than all the money in the world? Share your opinion in the comments. We want to know if this story touched your heart as much as it touched ours. If you were moved, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to receive our most emotional stories. And don't miss the next recommended video. A new story of overcoming awaits you.